Hey, welcome. All my right thinkers, thanks for tuning in to check out your boy, P Funk. Thinking right out here in my lab. And I'm in the book wrapping it up. We get close to the end. We got initiation in the Egyptian yoga. Let's go. Ooh, yeah. Nice little, a few things we need to learn about reaching the phase, or what we call, how we pass, how to overcome failure on the spiritual path. They got a few breakdowns. I just gave you the first half. I'm going to give you the next three of them. It's going to be dealing with dispassion, divine grace, and devotion to God. I'm breaking that down for you. Good little lesson. Let's go. Rightisms, 25 rules to live by. Storytelling, story with a message. There's always a message in my stories for life. I give you real life lessons. You tune in to receive them. I appreciate you. We got a good thing going. Let's do what we do. Right thinking mission is to enlighten, inspire, educate, and motivate you, the individual, to a higher spiritual level of enlightenment. Right thinking is way of life through mental and spiritual discipline. Practice daily will help and guide you to obtain your goal of reaching spiritual enlightenment, aka know thyself. My mission is that all right thinkers know thyself. If you're a right thinker, your goal is to know thyself. See where we're going with this? Let's get that together. So I asked the question, do you know you? Well, when I'm through, it's rhetorical. But if you don't have an answer for yourself, tune in. I got you. A person who knows not and knows not that they know not is foolish. Disregard them. Don't be them. A person who knows not and knows that they know not is simple, but you can teach them. That's why I do what I do for you. I appreciate you too. Stay tuned. I got more for you. A person who knows not and believe and think that they know is dangerous. Avoid them. I do. A person who knows and knows not that they know is spiritually asleep. I can awaken them. I'm the spiritual alarm clock here to wake you up with knowledge of self. That's what I do for you. A person who knows and knows that they know is wise. Follow them. All these persons reside in you. Right thinkers know thyself. And to Maya, be true. Right thinkers. Let's talk about P Funk's philosophy on how to overcome failure on the spiritual path. These are some of the things you need to learn and understand, and aka master for yourself. So let's go with first. It's going to be dispassion. Dispassion is what they call gradual freedom that's achieved when your mind becomes released from the mood swings of ignorance and egoism caused by what? Your own selfish, egoistic desires and hatred due to your own ignorance about the world and your passionate desires to be what? Fulfilled through what? Through the world of time and space. Meaning you want material stuff. You want pleasures of the flesh. And your dispassion means you start to realize that ain't the way to go. But pay attention, watch this. But these desires of the flesh right here are products of a deluded, egoistic, ignorant mindset. That, I'm trying to explain to you, is your personal downfall. Once you understand that, and that does not realize what the futility in you trying to fulfill your earthly pleasures and desires through what? A fleeting world. This world is temporary. Don't get in love with it. Don't fall in love. Why? It's temporary. And the things that's here gonna stay here. Okay? And don't fall in love and to have desires of the flesh and the human objects and material of the world. We're having a human experience. Understand that. You're a spiritual being having a human experience. Don't believe that you're human in your spirit. No, ignorance again. But you in search. This search will cause your mind to be what? Clouded with ignorance, with again ignorance. And there can be no peace. Why? Due to the constant mental mood swings themselves and your deluded concepts due to your ignorance that your mind subscribes to, and you believe you're getting what you want, you're happy doing what you're doing. So yeah, the mind is happy at that time, but agitation comes from the consequences of those same actions. Watch this. So those movements and the ignorance of one's mind is what clouds your intellect. You ain't thinking right, okay? Pay attention. It clouds the intellect and it prevents you from right thinking. It's right there, right there, right there in the book. Yeah, thank you. If this thing ain't working right, it's gonna work. If it ain't working right, you're gonna have problems. That's the consequences of what? Bad actions. Your ignorant concept that you live by and you act on is an impenetrable canvas of imagines or images of what? The physical world, and living in accordance with what? One's desires of the flesh that leads to one's mind. You think you need these things. You believe you got to have these things. You thinking wrong. Okay? But this way of thinking renders the world not as it is, but as your deluded notions of your made up reality in your mind. And it's all based on your internal egoistic notions and ignorance. And for pleasures and desires, that's all you want out of life. That's dispassion at its worst. Why? Because you're just in love with this world and the things of it. You haven't learned to let it go yet. Watch this. Perfect example. So, in this state of mind, which is wrong thinking, all objects of the world and all worldly pursuits that you chase after without regard for what? The truth or reality. Why? Because the desires has blotted out your physical desire, had blotted out your negative aspects and what's wrong, and painted a picture of what? Happiness and what? Obtaining objects and things of the worldly pursuits. As long as you got the big house, the fancy car, big bank account, you happy, everything's going your way. This deluded notion renders your mind incapable of assimilating and learning and understanding the teachings in a proper way. If you still hell bent on things and stuff and pleasures of the flesh, you ain't ready to ascend. Why? God only shares light on they who shake the clouds of ignorance from their soul and sight the brilliancy of truth. Ding, 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 ding. Mingling themselves with the all sense of what? The divine intelligence. When you become conscious, when you become awakened, when you become spiritual enlightened, whatever you want to call it, but when it happens up here, it trickles down. And through love, which they win, which wins their freedom from what? That part over which death rules. Human. You come conscious of godly, you starting to defeat death. Why? You don't fear death. Why? You know death is not for the spirit, only for the physical body that you ain't in love with, that you ain't so animate that you got to have. No, you understand that. And watch this. And you have the seed of assurance of a future that's deafness implanted in him. That means death won't come to you, but then, then this is how the good will differ from the bad. At the end of this life, we all will be judged philosophically and conceptually from the Egyptian perspective. But this is the phrase from the ancient proverb of the Shitar Netta philosophy they call religion that they practice. And it's letting you know when you become conscious of who you are, you know the spirit can't die. So you know you are deathless. You can't die. But if you are ignorant of that, because you got the human egoistic ignorance that you believe that death will come to you, and yet it will. And due to your ignorance, it will come to you and you will die twice, physically and spiritually, because your heart will be heavy and your conscience will be numb. So goodbye. Say the end. That's destruction for the human being. Well, no need for you. You didn't do what you needed to do. We got no records of you, so Amen gets to have his way with you. And when you understand this, you will earn what we call divine grace. I'm not a preacher. I'm not a church, a Bible thumper, but let's define what God grace and how you can obtain it. I know that. I'm a spiritual philosopher. Let's go. This is my neighborhood. First of all, understand it's all my religious and belief system followers. God does not grant what we call nihas or spiritual awakening or enlightenment. This is not within God's power to give. He gave you the spirit. He gave you this thing called a consciousness for you to figure out this is the most sophisticated machinery known to man. Every machine, every computer duplicated is after this. We got the original. Understand that. So don't fall in love with AI. Moving on. But again, that's not God's power. The power is the spark of divine that's in every human being is essentially one with God. And as such, you partake in what we call divine power. Once you realize that, the soul as the spark has led itself to ignorance due to your ego. It didn't find God, it ran into you and your ego thinking you're God. So you edge God out and you're standing in for God. That's the ego. Watch this. And so by itself, it must lead itself what? To awakening. You got total control. You messed up, you can correct the mess up. I spent a lot of years doing wrong. I got now more years serving God than I did the devil. I walked that thing down. I'm on the good side. I'm on the good side, the positive side, okay? And by practicing what? Daily devotion to God has the effect, watch this, of turning one's mind from ignorance and egoism on itself to what? To the divine. And this is what leads to what? Purity and of the feeling of acting by right thinking. There we go again. There it goes again. They spell it with the R because they don't know I hijacked it. But I get it's all about right thinking. I use that for my name, but it's always been around. Yeah, I ain't just make it up. So yeah, I just put the W on it. All right, but right thinking. Why? Essentially, it is your individual worship of the divinity within yourself. I just gave lesson about Reverend Ike said, I worship the God that's in me, not the guy in the sky but gonna help me by and by after I die. I love that concept because that's what he was teaching that a long time ago. So yeah, I get the concept. When you doing you, you'll be rewarded. I learned that 16 years ago now. All right. So when the divinity that's within you is worship, and as opposed to you worshiping the outside, whoever it is, it will allow that divinity to emerge in you as what? The preeminent aspect of life, and your mind will now awaken to its presence. Jesus Christ. When you live right, do right, the Kundalini serpent will activate. You ain't got to know nothing, but you know something's going on. Okay? You will be awakened. Why? Because you're doing the right thing. That's how you do it. Whether you know it or not, if you're doing the right thing, it'll happen. That's the difference. But you will now recognize the presence that's God in you. My mother-in-law loves that. Okay? She always thought she was strange, thought she was different, thought she was weird. No. You were just obeying the God in you. Okay? Guiding you the whole time. So, and she loved that idea. I breaks it down for her. We had a good conversation. All right. But when you recognize that God and presence that's in you, now you become awakened. And now to your true nature of who you really are, your personality, in which is not of the egoistic human notion that me, I. No. It's me and what? Am. God. But the heretofore unknown, your divine spirit, God that's within you, when you're living right, you're showing what? Practicing what we call devotional exercise. I live right, I offer self-service, I meditate, I give God his props, I'm God conscious all the time, I do the right thing, I stay on my grind because I keep God on my mind. That's not religion. That's just my philosophy that I live by. I put that into my lifestyle. And by devotional exercises, you're now to bestow the perpetuous conditions that you practice, and you will advance in your spiritual attainment. That's how you advance, by practicing it, putting it to use. Luck is the residue of what? Hard work and opportunity. Okay? When you're doing the right thing, you will be rewarded. Just keep doing the right thing. Don't worry about what don't worry about that. Just keep doing the right thing. Trust me on that one. All right? Why? Because God does not grant enlightenment. You have to obtain it for yourself. He gave us life. What we do with it by becoming enlightened is our gift back to him. Why? He can have it back. Why? It's purified. We sanctified it for him, our spirit, with knowledge and consciousness. Now it can go home and I'll be me for eternity. Will you be you forever? If you don't know you, you won't be. Moving on. Simple fact. I'm not just letting you know the facts. Your job is to get you. I got me. But God only opens the doors for the perpetuous conditions, and that will include you having peace of mind in your encounters with spiritual perceptors, reduction of the pressures of your egoistic tendency. You starting to get past the ego concept and getting to the more higher level of understanding, being a better you. And by performing this act, all obstacles of your spiritual attainment will be put aside. Why? Because when God's grace is dawned, you, the aspirant, you have gained spiritual strength. You become stronger. What? Your faith and belief in God is being rewarded. So now you become, yeah. If you're Muslim, Allah strengthens you with what? Your righteous living, and He rewards you. Christians, Christ strengthens you, give you the ability to do all things, what? Through Him who strengthens you. I get the concept. That's the same thing we're saying. My spiritual strength comes from the power of me knowing God that's in me. That's where I get my power from. Sorry, I get excited. But I'm just trying to give it to you. And that way your spiritual strength will increase, and your physical desires, your desire to study daily and practice your teachings of meditation and studying as well will increase the pleasures of what? Your spirit and fulfillment through what? Your daily practice. And now you're increasing dispassion about worldly things. I don't give a crap about stuff like that. And what happened? When you dispassion about, you master the dispassion, your worldly objects and worldly desires will start to decrease. And now you will be living what we call in divine grace, as it's perpetuated through your daily devotion and action to the divine, and you have right thinking leads to right action. That's called integrity and righteousness. Virtuous righteousness. That's because you're going to do and be the right way, the way you should be. When all the time. I practice that. I live by it. It's not easy, but it's so relieving. So stressless. I don't have no problem, no issues with nothing that's going on. Why? I just deal with everything the way I deal with everything from a philosophical concept and move on. Wrapping it up. Now, when you seek if thou God, you seeking for the beautiful. Okay? You looking for the truth. And when you find them, you'll know. One is the path that leadeth unto what? It. Through what? You ready? Devotion joined with knowledge. That's how you find God. Heart, mind, coherence. Okay? Knowledge, devotion from the heart. That's what you practice. This is an ancient proverb, again, from the Shita Netta religion. Now, let's talk about devotion to God. That's a yoga philosophy that we got one. What? Christians, that's what they do, devotion to God. Those my spiritual family that I go get spiritual love from. Why? We all in devotion to God. Living on the same accord. They just call it Christianity. I'll call it right thinking. Let's talk about it. I'm going to take it on home with this one. Devotion to God don't mean just every Sunday you got to go to church and hoorah, oh Lord, yeah, amen, I hear the preacher. No. Devotion to God is done daily. You didn't know that? No, let's talk about it. Devotion to God will allow the depth of the teachings to be revealed to you for those who practice them, those who put them to use. That will show devotion to God by putting it to use and approaching The teachings intellectually will only promote a superficial understanding, meaning you understand it, but it's a limited attainment. Why? Intellectual studies allow the teachings to be thought about, but this thinking process can become secular, meaning going nowhere, buffering, if the depth and the true understanding of the teachings is not practiced properly. Right there. It's like doing push-ups. If you're doing it wrong, the result's going to be not good. Okay? So devotion, divine love towards God allows you to have the depth of the teachings by what? Living them. And in essence, the teachings must be practiced daily, but they must be felt as well as known. You have to experience it. God have to be experienced, not thought, not believed, but experienced, felt, okay? Intellectual knowledge, and that's fine, that's good, but must be augmented by the feelings of the teaching, meaning understand them, put them to you, manifest them, know them for yourself. Don't just quote verses and say that's what they say. Oh, what can you prove about what they say or that you read and practice in that Bible? You gotta talk a good one. Y'all don't want none of it. And the feeling aspect, that's the soul, the spirit, which trapped into what? Does not allow the intellectual aspect to become diluted. Why? In fact, it will plague the intellect with what? Insecurities of oneself, and torment your intellect with doubt about oneself until what? You get on the right path. The right path is pursued. And this is, you start to get the deeper conscious, spelled CONSCIENC. That means you start to study. You're starting to get the understanding of a person whose source is their own soul. This cannot occur if the divine feeling, meaning you ain't connected with God, is dulled due to your own delusions and of worldly desires and your egoistic notions. Again, selfish. So devotional exercise and rituals will allow your intellectual teachings, will allow the intellectual aspect of the teachings to what? Be experienced right there, as well as just thought of. Prayer, meditation. Some people just meditate, or some people just pray, then they meditate. Praying is you talking to God, and that's admirable. But meditate is God talking to you. Do you do that? How often do you do that? I do every day. That's what makes me God conscious in that way. So, and behold, with thine own eyes, God's plan. You could only see God's plan through the spiritual eye, not these two eyes. See where I'm going with this one? And when you devote thyself to adore God's name, or whatever name you go by him, whatever you call it, when you do that, it is God who will giveth, who have giveth souls to how many? Millions. Now we in the, billions now? Okay, 9 billion and counting. And of forms, meaning humans. And God will and only, pay attention, I'm taking it home. I'm sliding in the home base right now. I'm about to steal home. God only magnifieth whosoever magnify God. And he know that because he's in your heart. And he know your intentions. He know every aspect of your character. So you can't be as him. But if you do right by him, he'll do right by you. I can attest to that. I know that's true for myself. And I'm not religious or biblically inclined. None of that. I'm a spiritual philosopher. I understand spiritual knowledge. And I understand the concept of you what? Knowing God. No, knowing don't mean jack. Serving him. Okay? What? Devotion to him daily by praying and meditating and living right. Those are qualities that God recognizes in all his followers. He don't give a damn about the religion. That's why I get just as blessed as my pastor who lived by his biblical philosophy and hold himself accountable to do. And he get the same thing I get. Blessed for what? Living right. So I understand the concept. If it ain't mine, don't mean it ain't working. I know everything else works. I just got a way that works. Do you? Hope you enjoyed the lesson. Right thing. Oh, I'm not done. I got some more for you. We're going to pick up on superconscious, meditation, and spiritual strength. Woo-hoo-hoo. These are all things that you need to learn, understand, and master for yourself. That's what I'm trying to get you to do. That's why I do what I do for you. I'll be back with more for you. And in closing, right thinkers, may you all live to be 100. Me, 100 miles a day. So I never knew that my right thinkers who now understand how to what? Overcome the failures on the spiritual path was past the work. I'll be back.